Keyword: Leporidae. Leporidae is the biological family that contains rabbits and hares. The 54 different Leporidae species can be found all around the world in a range of different climates, from desert and prairie to forest and tundra. Tongue twister time! Lovely lawless Leporidae leaping lively. 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 Animal science. Did you know that rabbits like music? Generally, rabbits find classical music calming, while their love of repetition means that if they hear a song over and over, they'll start to recognize the music and respond to it. Like if they hear your favorite song for the 40th time in a row, they might start blinking or binkying around. Binkying being that cute weird jump twist thing rabbits do when they're happy. But not all rabbits like music equally. Rabbits can actually have very different personalities from individual to individual, and their music appreciation abilities are heavily dependent on their background. If your rabbit came from a pet store, where there was lots of hustle and bustle, noise, and potentially music playing, they're more likely to find music appealing. Since rabbits are such social creatures, music might even help them feel less alone. Similar to how some folks leave the radio on for their dog when they leave the house so the dog feels less alone. If your rabbit is instead more of a nervous Nelly, they might not find music soothing, and you'd be better off leaving CBC Talk Radio on for them instead. But regardless of personality, one thing most rabbits can agree on is their dislike of sudden, loud noises. While they might like some novelty once in a while, like some pop music if all you listen to is classical, maybe keep the heavy metal and EDM for when the rabbit's not around. And it's probably for the best to avoid playing your homemade horn around them too. Fantasy science. Annoying Brian Murphy by applying real science to fantasy creatures.
A froghemoth is not real. A froghemoth is not a frog. It's got hemoth in the name. It's not real.
In Monty Python's The Holy Grail, Arthur and his knights confront a terrifying killer rabbit. But could a rabbit actually attack? Surprisingly, kinda. Real-world rabbits can be aggressive towards humans when they feel threatened, afraid, or are in pain. If they can't flee, they'll stand their ground and fight. Improper handling can also lead to aggressive behavior, since rabbits don't actually like being handled that much. Or if the rabbit is not spayed or neutered, they could display hormone-induced aggression around mating season. Whatever the impetus, a rabbit can claw, thump their back legs, or lunge and bite with those big old chompers. While they don't tend to do serious damage, their bites can take a chunk out of you. And if you for some reason approach a rabbit with ill intent like they do in Holy Grail, they're gonna know you're coming. They have excellent hearing, an excellent sense of smell, and eye placement that gives them 360-degree vision. All in all, they're a very difficult creature to sneak up on, even if you're not wearing a suit of armor. And if they feel threatened, well, stay on your toes. But as I discovered, it was pretty tough to get the rabbit to Arbor's neck, even when I chucked the rabbit at him, and it often ended up getting chomped on itself. So maybe all that Arthur and his knights needed to get past that tiny furry terror was a larger furry terror. Science experiments for dogs. Arbor here is staring at a white-tailed jackrabbit, which is actually a type of hare. Rabbits and hares, though very closely related, have a few key differences. Rabbits are smaller, have shorter ears, and hide from threats in their tree and shrub habitats, while hares are larger, have longer ears, and use their extra-long legs to run away across open regions like prairies. And where rabbits are born with closed eyes and no fur, jackrabbits appear on this earth fully furred up and with eyes ready to absorb the knowledge of the universe. One of the coolest things about the white-tailed jackrabbit is how its coat changes color in different seasons. In the spring and summer, these hares have brown fur, but once it starts to get colder and the snow arrives, their coat changes to white. This change allows them to hide from predators in any season by camouflaging them into their environments, which is pretty handy because it can get real cold and snowy where these hares live. In Edmonton, Alberta, near the top of the white-tailed jackrabbit's range, it's gotten as cold as minus 50 degrees Celsius in the winter. And its cousin, the Arctic hare, lives even farther north in the Canadian Arctic and Greenland, where it's gotten just shy of negative 70 degrees Celsius. To demonstrate this sort of extreme cold, I got some dry ice, which exists as a solid like this at negative 78 degrees Celsius, just a bit colder than our hare's northern range. When we put that dry ice in water, it immediately turns into a very cold gas, shoots out into the environment, and cools down the water vapor in the air. It condenses that water vapor into a very cold cloud, not unlike the air in really cold climates. You'd need lots of adaptations to survive such cold weather, like thick fur, furry feet, and habits like pulling your limbs and ears in and loafing to preserve body heat. Pretty cool, eh? And And you can be cool too if you give your furry color-changing friends a heads up about changing levels of snow with a homemade barometer, a meteorological device that shows changes in air pressure. First step, cut a balloon and put it over the mouth of the jar, trying to get it as flat as possible and securing it in place with an elastic. Then, tape a straw to the stretched out balloon so that the end of the straw is in the center of the circle. Place the whole thing in front of a lined piece of paper and check daily. If a bad weather low pressure system is approaching, the air in the jar will have higher pressure than the outside air, causing the balloon to bulge and the straw to dip down. And if a high pressure system and nice weather is rolling in, the air in the jar will have lower pressure than the outside air, so the outside air will push down onto the balloon and the straw will point up. I didn't stretch my balloon quite flat enough, so my jar hasn't yet predicted bad weather. But it has pointed upwards a few times, which I deeply appreciated as it showed me there was a light at the end of the negative 30-degree tunnel. And there you have it. Dancing rabbits, bunny bites, and extremely cool hares. If you liked this video, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.